Hi guys, Megan here, the faithful fibromyalgia warrior, also known as Healing Foods Coach. I hope you're doing well. It's Saturday, it's June the 1st. Here in Colchester, the sun has been out, the sky is blue, it's a beautiful day, all sorts of good things going on. Kind of nice to see after all the rain we've had. However, I need to be honest and let you guys know that I've been struggling with feeling completely exhausted the last few days. Why do I share that? Because I don't want anyone thinking that as soon as they go carnivore, they're going to have boundless energy that lasts them always and every day and forever, and that they're never going to struggle with feeling tired or exhausted. Because chances are you will. I've been doing this now almost 4 years, and yes, I absolutely can admit that my energy levels are far, far, far better than they ever were before, but I still struggle with tiredness and exhaustion sometimes. And that means there are days and there are moments where I struggle with being motivated. I think for me it becomes more an issue of there's a line, there's this seems to be a fine line between motivated to get up and be active in some way, whether that's just something as simple as walking the dogs, or maybe vacuuming the house, or doing a load of laundry, which takes energy, versus pushing myself like I did several months back, where I was trying to walk 7 to 10 miles every day, 6 days a week, and at the gym 3 to 4 days, 3 to 4 times a week as well. And I wasn't training for anything, and I wasn't competing in any way. I'm in no way an elite athlete, never have been, don't want to be. And what I've had to step back and realize is that I was more motivated by the addictiveness of the adrenaline rush of pushing myself to that level than I actually was enjoying benefits of that level of walking. Now, I'm not saying that I'm never going to walk longer distances, but when I had to stop putting myself on that insane schedule, I realized a lot of my motivation was to feel that same adrenaline rush, which also is accompanied by high levels of cortisol, which for a female, especially in my 50s, going through the beginnings of menopause, high levels of cortisol are not my friend. And when I had to stop that intense routine because of life and work interruptions, it was extremely difficult for me to then get back and get motivated to get to that same level of pushing myself. Now, let me just say, if you are wanting to compete in some way, if you are an athlete or training to be some sort of elite athlete, go for it. If that is something you do, whether it's running track or some sort of athletics, whether you're involved in competitive sport to some degree, I'm not saying don't do that. If you enjoy it and you feel great doing it, fantastic. But excuse me, I had no need. The reason I was doing that was I was in competition with myself, with what I thought I needed to do to prove, if you will, I'm a carnivore and look at me, I'm walking 10 miles a day. And yes, it is miraculous and it's incredible and it's amazing. And if I had to, for whatever reason, if I had to suddenly walk a 10-mile distance, I could do it. I could do it no problem. But what I realized was that for me at least, because I spent so many years being completely not athletic or active in any way, and suddenly pushing myself to that extent, I was ignoring signs from my own body that it was too much. I mean, that's the thing about adrenaline. When we are feeling that adrenaline rush, which isn't necessarily bad in small doses, but when we feel that adrenaline rush, we are then able to easily ignore any signs of pain or problems. I mean, our bodies are designed that way, right? We get it when we are in this fight or flight mode and our adrenaline kicks in to get us to move out of a dangerous or so-called dangerous zone quickly. That adrenaline rush is what motivates us to move out of, say, the house is on fire, we need to escape, or there's a lion coming after us, we need to rush up a tree or get out of the way or do something, right? So that rush from adrenaline is not a bad thing in an actual dangerous situation. But for me, it became addictive, and I couldn't see it at the time. And I kept thinking when I got back from North America in April after being away for a month, I felt guilty. Oh my gosh, I'm not walking my 7 miles a day. I haven't been to the gym in a while, and I don't feel like it, and I don't feel motivated, and I'm sore, and I don't want to. What's wrong with me? And I thought something was wrong with me. And what I realized was, no, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just I had actually overtrained myself. I wasn't running. I wasn't doing any sort of hit training or weight work or anything like that. But what I was doing was I was pushing my body beyond what it was capable of at that time. And so you've got this, I almost say like a paradox of, yes, it's always good to try to improve mobility and improve your physical activities, obviously, right? You do enough of that good, gentle, healing movement and exercise, you get all the good chemicals running in the brain. And everyone's, I think there's probably a line in everybody where that fine line for everybody between exercise because we're enjoying it, like a nice, a comfortable, a leisurely walk, or a stroll with the dogs, or just out enjoying a day in a park, out in nature, that type of activity versus intense using the weights, bodybuilding, or training for as an elite athlete, two extremes, right? But I think there's probably a fine line in everybody where we can easily slide from one end to the other. And if we are athletic and we compete athletically, and that's our living, I know somebody who is a competitive distance runner, and he is competing. Hopefully, he is, sorry, he is in there, he's going through competition season now, but he's hoping to compete with Team GB at the upcoming Olympics. So his intensity of training program is massive because that's what he does for a living. He doesn't work in an office job. He's not working in a retail shop or serving people coffee. That is what he does. Whether it's through sponsorships or whatever, that's how he makes his living is through his running. And he's lucky, right? Hey, if you love doing it and you're willing to put in the effort and the work, etc., that's amazing. Just like, there are people who have to be a certain level of fitness, say, if they are in the military, if they work as in policing or security, right? You have to have a certain level of fitness and ability, and so you train for it. And that makes perfect sense because it's part of what you do for a living. For the rest of us who maybe want to get involved in a fun run or a half marathon, or maybe for some reason we've decided this is the year we're doing a triathlon. I can't think of any reason for me personally where I would ever have that moment of insanity of, yeah, I want to put myself through torture and compete in a triathlon. I don't see it happening. Okay. But there are people who enjoy doing that stuff. Fantastic. And if they do that and they love it, go for it. But I also know that for me, and no one ever said to me, by the way, Megan, you need to be able to walk like 10 miles every day. Why? Why? If I had to, I could. It might take me several hours, but I could do it. And for me, that should have been enough. But there was this And I don't know if it was because of the me personally being addicted to the adrenaline rush of pushing myself to that extent that I couldn't see that I was overdoing it and burning myself out. I don't know if that was because I was so busy feeling, oh my gosh, the adrenaline and the rush and the energy and that's true. The more you exercise, the more you have that adrenaline rush, the more you up your dopamine levels and so forth. Yeah, you're going to feel great and you're going to have more energy. And that's just how the body functions. But I crossed the threshold between having energy just to enjoy daily life versus doing too much to myself, right? I don't know, maybe that makes sense to you. I'm not saying don't ever exercise because some exercise is good, but I'm also saying you don't have to um, run or do intense walking like I did for between 7 and 10 miles, excuse me, a day every single day for 6 days of the week, because that can also not be good. And I felt so guilty when I first got back in April because I had no interest, no desire to try to walk 5 miles. I could do it. I knew I could do it because I'd done it regularly, but I had no motivation to do it. I had no desire. I didn't even I barely once the jet lag sorted itself, I felt almost no motivation to even want to walk the dogs initially. I took them for much shorter walks than our usual 2 miles. Why? Because my body was so physically burnt out. And I think part of why I still feel so exhausted, maybe, and I'm just guessing here, um, somebody like Dr. Elizabeth Bright is probably a better person who would know about this. But my guess is my adrenals are trying desperately to reset themselves. I push them too much. If I can get out for 30 or 40 minutes once a day, enjoying a nice walk with my dogs, where the spaniel, we throw the disgusting tennis ball and he'll chase it as I've got uh, the greyhound on his lead with me. And we take our time and we enjoy ourselves and we go out when it's a beautiful day and the weather's decent. How much better do I feel? Now, that's all, sorry, all of that is to say the hardest part about starting back up with just simple, gentle exercise. And in my case, walking. For some people, that's getting out in the pool and swimming a little, which I hope I get to do this summer. And that's good too, right? Swimming has very little impact on your joints. You can do it, fantastic. Um, my issue with swimming is that, of course, all the pools here are chlorinated. I'm allergic to chlorine. So it makes me break out in a rash if I get into chlorinated water. Side point. But whether it's just enjoying a nice leisurely walk with the dogs or generally just a leisurely walk into town, I was finding it really hard many days to even get up the energy to go and do that. See, back before my trip to North America, back before my trip in March, so between January and mid March, I was generally up at 6, had my breakfast right away, and then between 7 and 8, I was up, I was dressed, I had the dogs out, and we were in the fields first thing in the morning, forcing myself to wake up. And what I've come back to realize is that I was pushing myself so hard when I didn't have to. I didn't have to. No one said I had to. I just decided this was going to be the best thing. And when my routine completely changed in March, landing in New York City, and didn't have the dogs and different time schedule, much more laid back and relaxing. Um, I was still out walking, maybe not the distances I was before, and yet I did so much better. It's easier for me. I've had to accept that it's a lot easier for me to stay motivated to even walk the dogs just once a day than the thought of, oh, and I have to get back to the gym. Oh, and I have to start walking 5 miles on top of that. Says who, right? And again, in this case, no one has told me this is what I should be doing. For whatever reason, this is what I told myself. And so I've had to step back and honestly just relax. I tried to do so many things thinking, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is because I would, you know what it is? I would see a lot of other people talking about how they do 20, 30,000 steps a day. That's awesome. That's awesome. Great for them. If they can do that, they're lucky. Truly. I believe that. But that doesn't mean I have to. And if all I can manage is 6,000, maybe 10,000 steps on a busier day, like a grocery shop day, that's still okay. That's still better than okay because for almost 10 years, I could barely even walk. And here I am. I, I might be speaking to some of you, but I'm also speaking to myself saying, Megan, take the win. So what if you aren't doing 30,000 steps a day? Or so what if you're not walking 10 miles a day, 6 days a week because you burned out, because you don't feel motivated? So what? It's okay to go back and start at the beginning, which is just get up and walk through the house, stretch in the morning, do a little laundry, stand and wash the dishes. I'm not putting through a list of chores. I'm just saying the ability to even do those things is a small victory. And when I started to actually not just realize, but accept that the small victories, they're still victories. They are still victories. Um, it makes it a lot more easy to get motivated because the hardest part about starting a healthier life is the actual starting. And what I mean is, um, I was big on reading as much as I could, watching all the videos by all the big people in YouTube, especially Dr. Ken Berry, and I will always be thankful to him for his videos. Thank you for all the science from Professor Bart Kay. Thank you to people like Dr. Anthony Chaffee. Thanks to people like Rebecca Heichman and Steak and Butter Gal and all of their content because it's all played a part in helping me become carnivore and stay carnivore. And so it's all important. But the thing is, it's easy to watch videos. The hard part isn't the watching of videos or understanding what things to eat or not eat, it's the actual doing. And when I felt unmotivated and at the very beginning when I was feeling exhausted and brain fog and depressed, that was hard. That was hard. And it's much easier because I don't have that brain fog because my depression is minor and manageable now. And that all helps. Absolutely. However, I still feel tired. I might get 8 or 9 hours of sleep, and in the morning, I'm still exhausted. And my best guess is that obviously there's still some inflammation and other stuff that needs to get dumped out of my system. I spent, so what, I'll be 52, and I spent out of the almost 45, 46 years eating garbage before I changed that. And even though it's been almost 4 years, there may still be some stuff that I need to get out of my system. And it was, I reached a point where I thought, well, what's wrong with me? Why do I still feel tired sometimes? Why do I sometimes feel so exhausted? I don't know exactly, other than probably part of it is I have been cutting back on my caffeine intake. So, of course, I'm probably feeling a bit tired from that. And I have to give myself enough time to reduce the caffeine and come off it, make me feel a bit more exhausted. And sometimes what I've had to do, even just facing the fact of the dogs need to be walked today. Okay, well, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be a great day to get out. Awesome. I don't want to do it. And in those moments, I've actually had to just sit and say to myself, it's just a walk. If I'm really that exhausted when we get out of the house and I can't do the full circuit, I don't have to. If they have a shorter walk, my son can take them out again later, we can do that. And it's trying to see that I don't have to do everything perfectly all at once right off the bat. And that just because I've been doing this for almost 4 years, it doesn't mean I've got it all figured out and perfect. And I never have challenges because I do. I'll be honest with you this morning. I had to sleep in until about 8:30. I mean, the dogs were out a couple of times through the night slash early morning. So it was a bit of an interrupted sleep. But I got about 8, 9 hours of sleep easily. And I still felt, to me, I'm like, oh, I feel so wiped. And I just thought, let me just have some breakfast because I was feeling hungry. Had some breakfast. Let me go outside. The sun's starting to come out. Let me look up at the sun, get a burst of morning sun energy. So I did. Okay. Had my breakfast. Had the dogs, had my breakfast, sat for a bit, and I thought, let me just have a shower. Help me wake up. So I did. And then if I can shower, I can get dressed. And if I can get dressed, I can get the dogs ready to go for a walk. Because I know that once I leave the house and I'm moving and walking, I start to feel a bit better. I have a bit more energy. Am I potentially going to sit on the sofa and just veg out this afternoon? Yeah, maybe. And that's okay. Other than, catching up with some client emails and getting this ready for you guys, why not? I think part of it is transitioning into a new period of my life where I'm not full of brain fog and chronic pain and severe inflammation. I'm not restricted to lying in bed or laying on the sofa, letting my mind just, go to rot, if you will. I want to do things. I long to do things, but I'm not used to a routine. When I did jury duty, I think I felt more exhausted sitting around all day at the courts, not even in the courtroom, but just at the courts. I felt more exhausted from sitting around waiting and also potentially being in the courtroom during the trial times than I did doing anything else ever. And I was just sat there. I wasn't actually doing anything, um, which is crazy. So maybe that's part of it as well. But it was amazing. Last night, I just had some ABBA playing through YouTube on the TV, and for the first time in years, I got up and I danced around the living room to it. I felt great, and I share these things because I just wanted to let you guys know that I understand how it can be so hard to feel maybe not to feel motivated. We all want to get better. We've done the reading, we've watched the videos, we understand animal sources of protein and fat are good for us. We want to do it. We may have even ordered our grocery shop in from the supermarket here if you're in the UK, or you've gone out and bought what you need to start eating right. That part, in a way, is the easiest part. But starting and being motivated to say, I not only have these groceries, I'm going to cook them. I'm not only going to cook them, I'm going to eat them. And maybe I'll stand up for 5 minutes today. Maybe I'll try walking from my room to the lounge without a crutch or a cane. Maybe I will sit and then just do some exercises, to work on my flexibility or my range of motion. Um, and maybe, like I felt this morning, you feel like I'm so exhausted. This isn't going to work. How am I ever going to change this? I can't even start. And that's hard. And it really is, I think, the hardest part. We can have all the knowledge and all the supplies and everything we need to get started. It's that actual starting that's so difficult. And I would suggest, if I may, that what may help you, at least what helps me, is repeating constantly to myself things like, I just have to stand up and get in the shower. I can get in the shower. I do it every day. I just have to get in the shower. That'll help me feel more awake. Then I can just grab some, then I can get dressed. If I can get showered and get dressed, I'll feel more alert. If I feel more alert, then I'll want to put on my shoes and walk out my door. Whether it's going to the corner shop to buy milk, whether it's, in this case, getting the dogs ready and heading out to the field for a walk. With the understanding of if I am truly, honestly too exhausted and I simply cannot do the full 2 miles, I can always cut this walk short and come back. But knowing, in my mind at least, for me, that once I start walking, I will feel better. And even telling myself, letting myself acknowledge, hey, I might be exhausted. I might be exhausted through the entire process of walking my dogs. But then when I get back and I get their leashes off and they collapse and sleep for a couple hours, I can do the same. I can sit down, put up my feet, and do nothing. But let me at least get out and walk. And I say that because I get the battle. I get it's hard. I understand that it's so, so difficult. Um, but these things may help. And so if you are feeling right now like I felt this morning, and still feeling a bit tired now, to be honest with you, not for any particular reason, just am. I understand. And I understand it's not easy. And I understand it may even feel like it's impossible to get up and get moving. Believe me, I understand that very well. Is it as bad as it was at the worst of my fibromyalgia and my chronic pain and inflammation? No, it's not. But it's still there. And I say that not to have you think, oh, great. So if I go carnivore, I'm still going to be tired. You might be. You might be for a while. My understanding is that can be fairly normal occurrence, but it will get better and you will feel less tired. And over time, you'll probably find that your sleep is a lot more sound and refreshing and restorative than what it is right now. And that's all I can promise is that it will get better for sure. To what degree and how fast, I can't tell you. I can't. And anybody who says they can guarantee you something like that, don't believe them. Okay? Because we're all different. It will happen at different points for all of us. But every single step of progress is still a step of progress. And I say that not just to you guys, but to myself. To myself, okay? Because I need to remind myself every day, okay, fine, I didn't walk 5 miles straight today. But you know what? I did take the dogs out. And I did some laundry. And I danced around in the living room to some ABBA or whatever it is. That's more than I've done in a long time. That's something. And even if I don't do anything else at all for the rest of the day, so what? So what? Right? Um, so, anyways, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that's encouraging for some of you who may be really struggling with starting the actual steps of starting. Totally understand. I totally get it. And I don't want you guys to think like, oh yeah, one day I woke up and it's like, I'm doing carnivore and I'm fine and I feel great the whole way through, because it's not true. That's not how it worked for me. I had great results early on, but I went from paleo to keto briefly and then into carnivore. And I had to suffer with even worse exhaustion when I first came off sugar and gluten and dairy, especially. So it's not easy. It's not easy at all, but it is worth it. And once you get started, even if it does take a little time, and give yourselves time, please give yourself time. Like, don't just give yourself a week or two. Give yourself, I would say, at least 30 days to really start noticing differences. Maybe not even, there may not even be weight loss in that time, but I would imagine you'll start to feel improvements in your chronic pain and inflammation, etc., and your levels of brain fog. And the weight will come. The weight will come. For some people, some of us, we notice it comes off in chunks right away, and some of us it takes longer, but the overall health improvements are astounding that quickly. It is worth it. That's it for me for this video today, guys. As you know, you can also get in touch with me at my website of www.healingfoodscoach.com or email me, megan@healingfoodscoach.com, if you want some one-to-one coaching support. All my offerings, pricing, etc. is there. There is currently an introductory promotion going on an initial assessment and coaching session. Hope you guys will check it out, book some time. That's it for now. I will be back soon with more content. I appreciate all you guys, all your support, all of your encouragement, all of your love and your faith. And just know that you're not alone. I've probably been through very similar to, or even exactly what you're going through right now. And so I completely understand the challenges. But listen, if I can stick to it, if I can make the changes and stick with it, I know you guys definitely can. And it's well worth it. You've tried everything else and nothing else has worked. Why not give it a try? Right? What have you got to lose? Hopefully, pain, inflammation, and maybe even weight if that's what you need to get rid of. Who knows? All right, guys, that's all for now. I will be back soon with more content. Take care and have a great day. Bye.